everyone, this is Marika and welcome back to another session on communication and educational technology. So we've been discussing the fifth unit, which is principles of education and teaching learning process, right? In our previous session, we've seen what is education and what are the different aims of education, right? Today, we are going to discuss the functions of education. Why do we need education and what is the function of education? All right. Now, as discussed in the first session, we've seen that education is the process of living through various experiences, right? Now, education is the means which help us to develop all the capacities within an individual which will help him to control his environment, right? So education is the way through which an individual learn and inculcate those capabilities within himself so that he will be able to control his environment, right? Now, education helps a particular individual to develop in accordance to the need of the society, right? Education helps the individual to develop. We know that education focuses on the overall development of an individual. We've seen that, right? But it develops individual according to the need of the society, okay? And so the education has specific functions towards the individual, towards the society, and also a nation at large, right? So education is not just for a particular individual. Education is for the society and also for the nation as a whole, right? So we will discuss one by one what are the functions of education towards an individual, what are the functions of education towards a society, and what are the functions of education towards a nation. All right. First, we'll start with the functions of education towards an individual. Now, the first function of education towards an individual is obviously growth and development. Now, when we studied the aims of education only, we have discussed that education focuses on the growth of the individual, the development of the individual, right? Now, education is provided to every individual so that we get to see the holistic development of an individual. Now, education is not just provided to improve the knowledge of the individual, but it is provided to make sure that the individual develops capacities and capabilities that is required for him to earn his livelihood, right? So the main function of education is to develop a holistic individual who is self-sufficient. So this is the first function of education towards an individual. The next one is direction and guidance. Now, what does direction in life means? Providing direction or having a direction means minimizing unnecessary and confused movements, right? In life, if we do not have a direction, if we don't know what we are supposed to do next, right? We get confused and we take wrong steps, right? But if you have a proper direction, if you have proper education, education helps to provide a proper direction to the individual. The individual will come to know about their capabilities and also will know which direction is best for the individual, what to be done next, right? Now, as I said, direction refers to minimizing confusing movements in life, right? Having a path to walk on, right? Now, through education or education is a means through which an individual has a proper direction, gets a proper direction in life. And so, education helps the individual to avoid various distractions that the person faces in life, and it is easier for the individual to achieve the particular goal. Okay? Now, this direction of an individual can be internal or it can be also external stimulus. So, a particular individual could be directed internally, right? There can be internal tendencies, or there can be external stimulus which will direct the individual. Now, as I said, education provides direction, right? So here, in providing direction and providing guidance, the teacher plays a major role. Okay? Okay? The next function of education is preparation for adult life. Now, what is preparation for adult life? Preparing the child to live an adult life or to understand the adult life is to make sure that the child knows about the responsibilities, about the privileges, and about the various problems that they might face during their adulthood, right? So it is the function of education to make sure that the child understands the responsibilities, the privileges, and various problems one can face in their later life, and also the ways through which the child can overcome those problems during their adulthood. Okay? The next function is conservation of traditional knowledge. Now, every society is proud to uphold their culture, their tradition, right? And every society always focuses on preserving their culture, on preserving their tradition, right? So it is through education we teach to the children of younger generation or newer generation about the tradition and culture of the respective society. Preserving old traditions, values, ideas, customs, and way of thinking is also one of the major function of education. Next, we have transmission of culture. So this is quite related to the previous one, right? So as I said, to learn about one's culture, one's tradition, to pass those cultural values to younger generation, it is the education that helps all those values to be inculcated within the newer generation, right? Similarly, the transmission of cultural values of a particular society is transmitted from one generation to another generation through education. The next function of education is to develop vocational efficiency. So this we can even say that it is a major function of education. We've also seen this in the aims of education. Right? So what does developing a vocationally sufficient individual means? Now, education helps an individual to develop all those skills and all those knowledge that is required for him to efficiently perform the task that is related to a professional field, right? So through education, children, youth are taught about how to carry out a professional job, right? What is the knowledge that is required to carry out a particular professional field, right? What are the skills that are required for a particular professional field? It is only and only through education people and children learn about the skills required in a particular professional field. Now, education is not just about letting the children see these are the positions that can be achieved by taking up a particular course, right? The aim of the education is not to make sure that the children see and just know about those positions, but to make sure that the children are able to occupy those positions in a very impressive way. Now, how is it possible for a child to achieve a particular position? By developing proper knowledge about that field and by developing the skills that is required in the field, right? So it is only education that can help them to become a vocationally sufficient individual. The next function of education is achievement of self-sufficiency. Now, what is self-sufficiency? Self-sufficiency means to be able to earn your own livelihood. So again, this particular aspect is related to the previous one, right? Education provides the skills that is required, the knowledge that is required to enter into a professional field, and therefore the child is able to earn his livelihood. The individual becomes capable of earning his or her livelihood, right? So to develop a self-sufficient individual is also one of the function of education. Developing a self-sufficient individual means the individual who is able to earn his or her own livelihood. Okay? Now here, it is not just about earning livelihood. Okay, it is not just about earning money to spend one's life. It is about also becoming cognitively independent, which means the person is able to make proper decision in his life, make wise decision in his life about the problems in his life, is able to solve the problems that one faces in his life. So the person is also able to think critically and have a proper judgment and management skills. Okay, so self-sufficient individual, here we have two aspects. One is to earn the livelihood, to earn the money that is required for one to live his life, and another one is to develop as cognitively independent individual, which means to be able to solve his problem on his own, to be able to think critically, to be able to lead a group of people, to be able to manage a particular situation that may arise. Next one, we have holistic personality development. Of course, as we've seen in the first function itself, education helps an individual to develop their personality as well. It is not just about having a particular growth, right? It is not just about being promoted to the next class, but the individual develops his personality and becomes a better person with the help of education. Next one, we have moral and character development. An ideal education must help an individual to develop good moral values and also good character, right? Through education, we learn how we must behave, right? Or why being polite matters, right? There are various moral values, there are various things that we learn and we inculcate in our personality and in our day-to-day life, which makes us a better person, right? So education not just helps us to grow and develop, but it helps us to develop our personality. It helps us to develop our moral senses, our moral values, as well as our characters. Next one, we have preparation for future. Now, education must make sure that the child learns about the future. As we discussed in previous few aspects, we've seen that education helps to prepare an individual for their adult life, right? Similarly here, education helps to prepare individual for their future. So education helps the individual become knowledgeable about the aspects of future and how he can manage the future needs and expectations. Okay. And the last function of education towards individual is reformation of attitude. Now, in the process of development, as the child is developing, right, the child is not just exposed or the child is not just at a homely environment. There are various people that the child interacts to, right? There are various people that child observes, right? So during the process of development, the child might have learned various characteristics, various negative aspects as well. Some undesirable attitudes like jealousy, hatred, and certain beliefs and disbeliefs, right? So it is the duty of the education to make sure that these disbeliefs, this unwanted attitude that is developed in the child must be reformed. So education must teach the child to reform those unwanted and negative aspects that is learned during the developmental process. Now, let us move on to the function of education towards the society. First one is improving social efficiency. So, as discussed several times, education focuses on the holistic development of the individual, right? So, education contributes to the formation of social personality of an individual, will help an individual adjust with his environment and also will help him to gain cooperation from other people around. Okay, now once there's cooperation among the people living in the society, once people are concerned about one another living together, when people develop such kind of attitude towards one another, it helps the society to flourish in the right direction. So improving the social efficiency of an individual is also one of the major functions of education. Now, developing this within an individual helps to flourish the society ultimately. Next, we have civilization and cultural security. Now, education teaches the individual to gain civic senses. right? Once an individual develops the civic senses, once an individual has a knowledge about civic senses, the individual knows how to behave in the society, knows how to live in the society, right? What is expected from them, what is right and what is wrong, right? This helps to develop a positive environment among the members of the society. So it is a function of the education to make sure that that the children learn civic senses, which helps the individual to become a better citizen, a better person within the society, and ultimately help the society become a better place. Next one, we have preparing good citizens. Now, this is also related to the previous one, right? Education helps an individual understand what is right, what is wrong, what is expected from them, what they can do, what they should not do, right? And how they should behave in a society, how they should live within a society. They know what to be done towards the society, they know what to be done towards their nation, right? It is through education people gain knowledge about all these aspects. Therefore, it develops an individual to become a better citizen or a good citizen. Okay? And the last function of education towards the society is reform and progress of society. Now, the progress of a society primarily depends on the education of the society. The progress that is seen in one particular society obviously depends on the kind of education that is being provided to the children, to the youth of the society. As Mahatma Gandhi once stated, that education is like a fertilizer for the social growth and societal progress. Education acts like a fertilizer. Fertilizer for what? Fertilizer for developing the society, for the growth of the society, and for the progress in the society. So education is must for a society to develop or to reform the society. So new demands and new needs arises in the society every now and then, right? There are changes in the way we live, so our demands, our needs also changes. Similarly, like that, the society as a whole has different needs and different demands, and those needs and demands also changes, right? So in order to meet those needs and demands, the society has to reform. And what is the only thing that can reform a society? It is education. Therefore, the function of education towards the society is the progress of the society and reformation of the society. Okay? So these are the various functions of a society. Cut. So the cut. So these are the various functions of a cut. So these are the various functions of education towards society. Now let us see the functions of education towards nation. Now, as I said, the development of a society directly depends on the education being provided. Similarly, nation is different society, different state combined together, right? So nation's progress depends largely on the individual of the nation, requires its people, its youth to work, to have hard work, right? To be selfless and to be devoted towards the nation, right? Now, education plays a major role in inculcating all these values and attributes within the individual. Okay? Next one, we have ensuring national development. Again, national development largely depends on the type of education, on the education of the country. Now, to ensure that there is development in the nation, to ensure that our nation develops, education must develop values and attributes within the individual to serve their nation. Next, we have promoting national integrity. Now, when we take our country, India, India is a diverse country. We have many different people living within a country, right? The language that we speak is different, the food that we eat is different, the kind of region we stay is different, the weather is different in each and every place, and the way of living, the way of thinking, everything differs from one particular place to another. Now, in a diverse country like ours, we can also see various problems like casteism, right? Differentiation because of religions, right? Communalism and various other problems, right? Because there are differences among the society, and because there is a variety cut, and because there is a huge diversity found in our nation, right? Now, all these issues like casteism, communalism, or differentiating one another because of the religion, right? All this issue will interfere and hinder the national integrity. It acts as a barrier for national integrity. Now, education can help break all those barriers and all those issues within an individual. It is not possible to make individual understand about all these issues without providing education. It is through education we can make sure that there is national integrity by ensuring all these problems are addressed, by providing knowledge to the individuals. Okay? So education helps in education helps in breaking these barriers and unite the people of the nation. Next one, we have continuous supply of workforce to the nation. Now, it is through education we train people, and every country it requires skilled workforce, right? Every nation requires workforce, right? To occupy those positions, to provide service to the nation, right? Now, education ensures smooth and continuous supply of skilled workforce to the nation, right? So it is through education we train people what to do in a particular professional field. People learn skills that are required to perform jobs in a particular service sector, right? So it is the aim of the education to make sure that there is a continuous and smooth supply of skilled workforce to the nation. All right. And the last function of education is to develop the leaders in the nation. Now, for anything to carry out in a country such big as ours, we need leaders, right? Now, leaders play a major role in various different sectors, not just in our country, but every country. And leaders are also one of the key factors for the development of the country. Leaders are required in social, cultural, economical, and political field, right? Now, education prepares the youth, education prepares the individual to be a leader of the nation, right? It prepares the individual and it makes the individual understand about the present need of the nation, the future need of the nation, and it prepares an individual in a way that the individual is able to serve the nation in the right way. Education also functions to develop the leaders of the nation. So that was it for today's class. In today's class, we've seen what are the different functions of education. We have three different aspects under this: functions of education towards the individual, functions of education towards the society, and function of education towards the nation as a whole, right? I hope the class was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next session where we will be discussing about the principles of education. Thank you and have a great day.